Could you see my screen? Could you see my screen?
No.
No.
Not yet. Okay, we're able to see it.
Okay, hold up.
Okay.
All right. Alright, so my name is Haley Brizuela. I worked on the Reimagination Project for Smallpox Memorial Hospital alongside my team, Gilbert Bueno, Maya Ortiz, and Joshua Nunez. So, our table of contents, within this slideshow, you see the smallpox history, about the locations past, the demographics, who's in the area, who's within Roosevelt Island, our site analysis, which is how our site looks and our estimates on the project, our plans and elevations, how we plan our designs to look, and our concept mood board, which are our ideas for our project and how we intend for it to make the people feel. So first is our history. So Smallpox Hospital was originally built just in 1854 for directly victims of smallpox. It served for this 20 years and eventually for a small period of time converted to the Riverside Hospital and until the 1950s. So I included a timeline, and you'll see some from when the island was purchased, how the virus was spreading and killing many people, from when it opened and how it turned into a nursing school. Sorry, my computer. Okay. How the building became vacant, and it was a national landmark, NYC landmark, and state landmark, and eventually renamed to Franklin D. Roosevelt Island. And currently, more on the present side, 2019, Friends of the Ruin began raising funds and advocated for the restoration of the hospital and the building. And currently, ROC, which is Roosevelt Island Operation Corporation, is continuing funds to stabilize the ruins of the structure. So here are some pictures about from older times to the nursing schools and how it currently looks right now. Demographics. So here's a pie thing about the. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. So there's 45.8 white, 19.7 black, 12.6 Hispanics, 16.8 Asians, 0.5 Native Americans, and 4.5 other races. And you'll see how the majority. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't include other demographics. Include. It's important to realize how majority of the people on this island are middle. So I think that's very important to remember while we think about restoring and how we want to restore it and what we want to use space for. Next up is site analysis.
Okay, so the site is located on Roosevelt Island. To the south is the Human Rights Memorial Hospital. The Four Freedoms Park, designed by the architect Louis Kane. To the north is Cornell Technician Applied Sciences Technology campus. The Smallpox Hospital rests in the middle of both the United Nations and the World Health Organization buildings located across the waters. The site is also easily accessible. Next slide. The actual Smallpox Memorial Hospital is still standing despite the many fallen pieces. The inside is very open and has lots of vegetation. Before work begins, the poison ivy in the inside needs to be removed. Next. There are different stages to this. Each estimate was collected in 2017. The total was $24,031,140. I still have for more recent.
Plans and elevations. Our plan is to really engage communities in the design concept and function of the new building, as well as give the project a bigger voice. We also want to make sure to keep the area very open so it does not lose its original feeling. Next slide. These images both show the top and the side view of the hospital, as well as the measurements taken in order to put the restoration into perspective.
So I will be discussing the concept designs in the mood board. Next slide, please. So for concept designs, some ideas that we've developed include restoring and rebuilding the hospital. One of the ideas is to rebuild the hospital for the sake of current illnesses and issues, such as strictly for COVID-19 care. We believe with such a serene environment that it can add to the healing process for those who are currently suffering. Another idea was stabilizing the location for park and public use, using the area as a park for children and the entire community, but only after the building has been fixed and made safe for everyone to use. Safety is the number one concern. We want to make sure that all those who are involved are okay, safe, and can enjoy the location itself with ease. Another idea that we had was having art displays or exhibits. This idea has to do with utilizing the space for public displaying of artwork and any other forms of art, such as performances. We believe with such a beautiful environment that having art to put into place will provide a perfect addition to the community, as well as anyone else who feels the need or feels the desire to take part. Our fourth idea was building an active museum. The space could be utilized as a museum that could keep the memory of the smallpox hospital and nursing school alive. We believe that a museum would be the best way to showcase the significance of the hospital, and having an active museum can get everyone involved, from adults to children, and can showcase can provide extra knowledge to anyone who desires to get into that field of medicine. Next slide, please. Some more in-depth concept thoughts and what we hope to achieve. Behind each project idea is the simple fact that the community, their thoughts, and access are just as important as maintaining and keeping the history. We want to make sure that the community can take place and take part into any of these projects. We want to make sure that they and the access that they have is just as significant and just as displayed as the actual history itself, as well as creating a foundation for that history to grow into something for future generations. We believe this memorial should be remembered for even longer than it already is. It deserves to be remembered from and by future generations, and we hope that we can create something that they can enjoy much later on. Our goal is not to take away a piece of history from its neighbors, but to add to it and create something everyone can enjoy. This piece of history is also historic for the community. This is also a part of their history. We wouldn't want to privatize it and take it away from them. We hope to maintain it and keep it as something that they can enjoy, as well as anyone and everyone else. Also, it's worth noting that most of the ideas listed will not be able to be instituted later on, or need to be reinstituted later on. Due to COVID-19 and all the guidelines that are put into place, we wouldn't be able to have a grand opening or launch until everything has receded and the situation gets better. But for now, we hope to have a smaller one, something that can get the spirits up of the community and anyone else. Next slide, please. This is our mood board and some of the feelings that we hope to invoke. Overall happiness, general improvement, interconnectedness in the community, and positivity for all those involved. we hope that these images can also represent how the project will look later on once it's finished or once we start to build. Thank you.
Okay, great job. Keston, you'd like to begin?
Yeah, it's very slick. I think it covers all the bases. Really, I think each of you was well spoken. You knew your material. I think you'll get better as you continue to practice. You'll smooth out some of the wrinkles. I think the technical difficulties, you'll smooth those out as well. I see 4 names. Did I hear Joshua Nunez speak?
Yeah, he spoke.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. So yeah, I mean, good stuff. Again, the presentation, as you guys continue to practice, it will flow more and you'll get more acquainted with the material. But and I do encourage each of you to look at the PDF that Megan sent to your replies, because that's some great information when it comes to the firm that's working on the project that you could include to show people that you do your research and you come correct. All right, so good work.
Or combined together, or or whether you guys decide you want to focus on one. One thing I do have to say in terms of the demographics, which is helpful information, it would be interesting to see, the demographics regarding the tourist visits. I'm not sure if you can find that information or how easy it is available. But that's something that would be interesting to see and compare with the existing, the demographics of Roosevelt Island, along with, the demographics of tourists that actually, commute to the park, to the Fort Freedoms Park. Right. Another thing I wanted to say, and I know Maya, you mentioned that the site is easily accessible. There are ways for you to sort of showcase that and back it up through visual elements. Again, this involves a site plan indicating how do actually people get to that site. Memorial Hospital Project is, you want to look into adaptive reuse architecture, all right, which deals with revitalizing existing structures and repurposing them for other functions. All right, so that's one keyword you want to look into. And, again, going back to finding examples of what other art museums look like, what are memorial museums, right? And art, art exhibit. What are some of the other functions you guys had mentioned, Haley, if you don't mind going back to that slide?
What were you talking about? Like,
so you're saying restore and rebuild the hospital, right? And this is something. This is one separate proposal, right? So this is sort of bringing back the hospital to be functioning as one.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other ones are art display exhibits, right? I guess museum and art display exhibits would probably be combined. And then you can also integrate, public spaces around the smallpox. And I don't know if you've noticed on the presentation that Melvin, the architects presented. They also show renderings of how to utilize, the surrounding area of the smallpox as public space for a garden. So you want to take a look into that.
Okay, thank you.
But yes, we'll dig deeper into examples of architectural expression of art exhibits in museums, memorial museums. Okay, I think you guys are on the right track.
Yeah, just to add on to what everybody stated, want to keep the slide right there. When you look at certain aspects, restore and rebuild at the hospital. Now you have to think about traffic flow, how one gets from one space to the next. And from my understanding, it's only one area for them to enter the space. So things have changed from the 50s all the way up to now. So you have to see, like, is the funding there, and as well as is it feasible to have that, and see how many other medical facilities are in the area per se that's actually close to the main Roosevelt Island bridge that you could enter the island through. So you have to think about those concepts. Now, one of the things that I want to mention about having things functional, to make sure you do the research, but let's go to the mood board. Can you go to the mood board? Okay. So one of the things about the mood board slide is not trying to invoke, like, you try to invoke something, but this it's not a positivity. It's not about showing someone's hand, his thumbs up. The whole concept of a mood board, pay attention everybody, is to actually have ideas like that has been done. Like, for example, what Rodriguez stated when I showed you last week about different ways building that was in ruins, a historical landmark, and made it into a space. So those are concepts of a mood board, like showing previous existed ideas that have you're trying to portray. This is how the future space might look like. These are the concept ideas. So when we're talking about mood board, we're not trying to show images of people having certain moods, like showing better things, make things better. You will have actually show an image of an area that was similar to the smallpox and how they actually revitalized it and made it work, such as if it's a community garden, such as if it's a museum, or if it's just a medical facility, how they transform it. So those are the images that you're trying to gather to put into the mood board. Okay, Maya, Gilbert, Brazuela, you understand a little bit?
Change invoke to evoke. Invoke means you're calling on a spirit. You're like raising the dead. Evoke is you're generating emotions. All right. Evoke.
Perfect. Thank you, Kessner. Yeah. So please, so for the next stage, when it comes to everyone, when it comes to the mood board, I want you to just actually just look at what architectural mood board looks like for a design concept. When you research that, you say, "Oh, okay, I grabbed that concept." So before, but other than that, good job. I like the format. It was amazing. I like the emotion. Gilbert, Joshua, and Maya, you actually made me want to I never thought about having an addition to the top area. You know what? Invest in a facility where people could, a rehabilitation facility, something small. And one thing I've noticed that when in uptown Manhattan, where the Columbia Presbyterian, there's a lot of historic buildings there that they don't touch them, but they're built on top of them, especially Columbia University area, Columbia Hospital, where they leave the landmark buildings alone, and then you travel to different floors where that you're not going to affect the building. So I'm thinking about when you said the museum, like on the first two floors, where there's nothing going on except for people to understand the history of it, and then later on add an addition, and the city might invest in a real build center and add 2 or 3 floors for that. And that's solely separate from the building itself. So that brings attraction, but it brings awareness to why Smallpox Memorial Hospital is so important back then, and then bring it back now. So you kind of convinced me. And I would love to see how you take that to the next step, to that next level. Because there was a lot of emotions there with your voice and the way you presented this presentation. Okay? All right.
Yeah, Mr. Cody, maybe one thing to do is invite Zio Patel one of these days so you can do it. He had a very similar concept in building on top of the smallpox and utilizing, leaving the actual interior of the smallpox pretty much untouched, and but then building platform as an information or sort of library lounge, sky lounge, etc. So there's a lot of possibilities, and this is a project that you guys can go all in because at the end of the day, it's conceptual and it's sort of like it's not they're not going to take your design and build it, but they can consider certain features of it. So this is why you may want to use this opportunity to just go all in, and explore as many possibilities as possible. And don't be afraid, don't even be afraid of budget, honestly.
Yeah. To add on to that, this is what can I say? Presentation the city needs. Our main job is to show awareness how important this site is, this location is to the whole New York City, to the state, to the United States as well, because this was very crucial what happened back then. And by us just doing the research, by us just doing a presentation of what could be the endless possibilities, because if they didn't have people like each and every one of you, a lot of these architectural building design concepts would have not been built. These changes have not been occurred. We'll still be looking like downtown Manhattan with all those nice cake development skyscrapers. So, so just think about that.
Yeah, I want to echo what everybody has said. I mean, I think some of in my in my real life, I don't just sit here as a disembodied voice with my friends from WHSAD. I'm a professor at Long Island University and at Columbia. So, by the way, what Mr. Codio was saying about Columbia, that's where I teach at Presbyterian, and he's absolutely right about everything he just said about the building. But I teach public health law, and so I teach about smallpox and COVID and coronavirus. And if there's ever been a time when we need to be we need to know how important it is to know our history about things like smallpox. It's now. And so the thought of having some sort of a structure that would memorialize that, but then literally build on that, I think is going to be critical once COVID is over and, our memories fade a little bit and we're like, why was that such a big deal? Well, smallpox was a huge deal. And, a lot of people were impacted by it. And up until COVID, I think people didn't really know that. So I think it'd be great. And maybe there can also be some sort of like a COVID tie-in to the memorialization of it and looking overall at, infectious diseases and how they have, impacted on us over time. I think it's a brilliant idea. Bravo. And, this is another one of those projects that it goes on, but it's so important. So it's fabulous. Great job. Great job.
And one more thing I would say, you guys, the response that you received from Megan, just know that's she took time. The responses are individualized, responding to the specific content in your emails. So just understand that you are being taken seriously, and it looks like you are taking yourself seriously. So again, nice job.
Yeah, definitely, and try to harness that relationship with them as well. Whether you're replying to their emails, and try to continue to solidify that communication with those stakeholders, so like that you can reap the benefits of gaining more insight and more access to research and ideas and feedback, specifically feedback, and that goes to every other